Hi guys, welcome back to the Social Tune. And today it is finally time to get our hands dirty once more by diving into the worst hits of a random year. And as much as I have enjoyed the positivity of the past few lists I've done, it felt really good to tear into some crap again, I can tell you. Particularly when the year in question is widely regarded as one of the worst of its decade, 2006. Because yeah, whenever the question comes up as to what really was the worst year of the 2000s, this one seems to pop up more than any other. And while I may personally despise 2009 just a little bit more, this was still a really rough year to get through. True, the absolute worst hits very rarely reached the lows of 2005, but there was still some real crap, with not as many great hits in order to balance out the scales. So let's just tear off that band-aid straight away by diving into our dishonorable mentions.
Oh, boy, you're looking like you like what you see. Won't you come over and check up on it? I'ma let you work up on it. Ladies, let them check up on it. Watch it while he check up on it.
This song feels like it's in perpetual motion, and the kind that makes me feel motion sick. The production is so bad that every single second feels like the chorus, courtesy of that high tone at the back of the mix and a breathless flow that very rarely ends on a downward inflection. It's really annoying, and it makes the entire song feel like it's trying to catch its breath, never resolving or giving the listener a sense of closure. Not helped by everyone sounding like they're out of breath and basically playing cardboard cutouts with no personality. And when I'm even saying that about the force of nature that is Beyoncé, you know how bad it is. An embarrassment for everyone involved, and it still went to #1. Great job, America!
Bounce with it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my fellas tip your hats with it. Do it, do it, do it, do it. You know the world be rocking to it, so do it, do it.
There were several awful dance songs that were strong contenders for this list, many of them arguably being worse than this one. But what drove me up the wall about this track was the laziness. Basically just name-dropping a bunch of other popular dances and songs and then telling all the ladies to do it to it. Which is probably one of the dumbest phrases that I have ever heard on a dance track. Cherish and other Sean Paul may not be quite as annoying as Silento, but they're still part of the same problem.
How many girls from the club wanna go? I know you see it. I know you see it.
You know, I have genuinely heard people talking up Young Jock, even referring to him as a charismatic MC. And looking back through his music, I can barely find any examples of that, either on his own stuff or in his features. And here, he's bragging about his wealth and success, which you, the listener, can't help but notice and feel jealous of. Way to give Meghan Trainor the inspiration to make the worst hit song of 2016. Not to mention that one awful line about chewing that dick like a piece of bubblegum. Just no!
When we get to arguing, just gotta kiss you, baby. I don't know why you like that, but you're just so damn sexy when you're mad.
"You're so cute when you're mad" is a phrase that is guaranteed to make almost any situation considerably worse. And yet for some reason, Neo thought it would be a good idea to make an entire song about it. Buddy, I love you, but seriously, fuck off with this.
So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change.
Yes, let's just keep waiting on the world to change, judging it mercilessly while doing absolutely nothing to help. You guys starting to see why I hate John Mayer so much? I will say that it's well produced and catchy enough not to make the list proper, but still, what an insufferable, gloating, whining weenus this guy can be. Okay, this is just pathetic. It's a brag track comparing how low and therefore how long your chain is, alternating between hardcore thug verses and a children's choir that could not give a shit. In fact, it's so absurd that I couldn't even bring myself to put it in the top 10. It's just too entertaining to hate. I mean, why would you ever make a song about this? Can you think of anything that would be less song-worthy than this? I stand corrected. Grills are not sexy, and the beat here is dark and menacing in the same way Pop Lock and Drop It would be 1 year later. This song is many things, but what it's trying to be is sexy and cool. And by those standards, it fails miserably.
Girl, I've been shaking, sticking and moving, trying to get to you and that booty, trying to get to you and that booty, trying to get to you and that booty.
This song is creepy as hell, from the production to the hedonistic performances by everybody involved. Not to mention being one of those tracks that refers to a girl's ass as a monkey, and otherwise just being your standard prototypical ass anthem. Although, maybe not quite as blatant as... You know, believe it or not, I can actually see the humor behind this song. It's clearly not meant to be taken seriously, and the video reflects that completely. The problem's that, like many other songs around at that time, it's trying to ride off of the success of the Whisper song by the Yin Yang Twins. And with the awkward production and even the duo themselves making a cameo, the song quickly descends into a cluttered and pretty terrible mess. Still kind of fun though, unlike, say...
Cause you had a bad day, you're taking one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around.
Yes, the biggest hit song of 2006, a clumsily written ballad trying to sympathize with the listener about having a bad day. But here's the thing, the lyrics talk about hearing one song that changes all of that, and is meant to reflect the feeling that maybe everything doesn't suck. So why does the song itself sound so miserable, particularly with a frontman that reminds me more than a little of Pat Monahan? Yeah, trust me, go back and listen to this, it has not aged as well as you remember. Still, it didn't make the list, so let's get to what did.
You're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, it's true.
So in my list of the best hits of 2008, I brought up the definition of classics. Songs that are universally recognized as staples within music. And how it has caused some critics to be a little bit biased when making best lists. After all, when you're making a top 10 best list, it should be the music that you enjoy, not what everyone else likes. This, however, is another case entirely, a song universally seen as great and a definite mark of quality, when in my opinion, it's a piece of trash that none of the artists involved should have ever gotten praised for.
Come here, girl.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Come to the back.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
VIP.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Drinks on me.
Go ahead, be
See
gone
what
with
you're
it.
twerking with.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Look at those hips.
Go ahead, be gone with
You
it.
make me smile.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Go ahead, child.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Remember when Justin dropped Filthy earlier this year?
Put your filthy hands all over me.
So many people hated that song, calling it an unfocused, jerky mess. And yet personally, I never minded it for a decidedly funky groove and lyrics that were over the top and sexual, sure, but you could argue that's exactly the point. And more importantly, how is SexyBack not 10 times worse?
I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. The mother boys don't know how to act. Yeah. I think it's special what's behind your back. Yeah. So turn around and I'll pick up the slack. Yeah.
The best and yet most telling argument that I've heard is that Filthy sounds awkward and messy, while SexyBack sounds like a classic. Which is fair, because after all, it is considered a classic. Here's the thing though, that doesn't make it any good, it just means that enough people remember it fondly.
Dirty babe, you see these shackles, baby, I'm your slave. I'll let you whip me if I misbehave. It's just that no one makes me feel this way.
Justin is at his most punchable here, with voice distortion that dulls his vocals and makes the entire experience grating. Not to mention that fuzz permeates throughout all of the production, the writing is basic as hell. Oh, and let's not forget that horrible sample on the bridge.
Get your sexy on.
You ready? You ready?
How does that remotely fit? It's not sexy, it's just awkward. Shame on you, Timbaland, you're better than this.
Go ahead, be gone with
You
it.
make me smile.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Go ahead, child.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Get your sexy on.
Go
gone with it.
Get your sexy out.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Get your sexy out.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Get your sexy out.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
I'm sure that many of you love this and really are convinced that Justin brought sexy back, but to me, it's one that kills the mood whenever it comes on.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
And speaking of artists who I genuinely love and respect turning in a song that is pure shit,
shake your money maker like somebody about to pay ya. I see you on my radar, don't you act like you afraid of shit.
You know I got it. If you wanna come get it, stand next to this money like, hey, hey, hey.
Shake your money maker like somebody about to pay ya. Don't worry about the meters, keep your nose up in the air.
this is just a disaster from top to bottom. For starters, our two performers are completely devoid of any charm. They're just annoying. I never thought that I would find a song where Ludacris doesn't sound completely secure in himself, but he just sounds off here.
But don't forget about this feeling that I'm making you get, and all the calories you burn from me making you sweat. The amount high points you earn when we taking my jet, and how every way you turn I be making you wet.
His lyrics are dumb as hell, and the tempo of the production forces him to adopt this slow, off-kilter delivery that really doesn't flatter him and makes for a lot of repetition. And yeah, just like Timbaland, I consider the Neptunes to be pioneers in production throughout the 2000s, but this just sounds terrible.
You looking good in them jeans. I bet you look even better with me in between. I keep my mind on my money, money on my mind, but you's a hell of a distraction when you shake your behind.
The horns blasting in and out with no rhyme or reason, that muted beat that carries no punch at all, and a rhythm that is incredibly complicated to keep up with. Which would be fine if our performers could ride it, but aside from the chorus, they're almost always offbeat. Oh, and about that chorus...
Shake your money maker like somebody about to pay ya. Don't worry about the meters, keep your nose up in the air.
Yeah, women of the world, you shake your ass, your only source of income. And to make matters worse, let's bring up that it's what your mama gave you. That's how you want to be wooed and told you're special.
Took your mama 9 months to make, yeah. Might as well shake what your mama gave, yeah.
Trust me, I can appreciate a great ass as much as the next person, but there are better ways to go around complimenting someone than this. Luckily, these two have a ton of other hits apiece proving that they know this, but my god, what a slip-up this was.
You know I got it. If you wanna come get it, stand next to this money like, hey, hey, hey.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
So like I said, asses are great. There are just better ways to go around complimenting them. So, does anyone have any better suggestions? No! For the record, this is what Laffy Taffy looks like. If that's what you're into, I guess.
I'm looking for Mrs. Bubblegum. I'm Mr. Chico Stick. I wanna dun-dun-dun, oh, cause you so thick. Girls call me Jolly Rancher, oh, cause I stay so hard. You can suck me for a long time, oh my god.
What can you even say about this song? It's a song so bad that even the group who made it, D4L, utterly despise it. It's a sellout move to make more money that happened to pay off in a big way. And it is terrible.
I know you wanna ride, you a star, and it shows. What's happening, what's up, let's go, let's go, let's go. Girl, shake that laffy taffy, that laffy taffy.
That awful 3-note beat, the skittering hi-hats, the laughable chorus, and those awful verses, none of this is salvageable. So with that said, why isn't it higher?
Work that pole and work it well. Stacks on deck, your ain't gon' swell. Girl, let me touch you. I will never tell.
After all, even by the low standards of candy sex songs, this is still really bad. Well, frankly, I find it rather charming.
I pop, I roll, it's soft. I know it's the summertime, but your laughing taffy got me full. Get loose, oh, get low.
Lead performer Fabo has an enthusiasm and energy about him that is really dumb, but also kind of likable. Either he is profoundly stupid, or he's just a clown giving his audience exactly what they want. And I have to appreciate that, whichever one it is.
Shake that laffy taffy, shake that laffy taffy, girl, shake that laffy taffy, that laffy taffy, that laffy taffy, that laffy taffy.
I don't quite know why we wanted candy metaphors in our sex songs around that period of the 2000s, but thank God that it died off soon after this. So yeah, whenever you next refer to 2014 as the height of ass in music, just remember, it could be a lot worse.
Girl, shake that laffy taffy, that laffy taffy, that laffy taffy, that laffy taffy.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful, it's true. Every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back, telling me I need you in my life. Every time I try to call, something keeps telling me that everything gon' be alright. Every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back.
Okay, seriously, fuck these kind of songs. You know, those songs where the artist is in a relationship with a girl whom he treats like shit, and yet refuses to leave her for some reason. Plus, they include a sweet, loving chorus to convince the surface-level listeners that they're actually really romantic. It's absolutely pathetic, and it infuriates me whenever anyone gives them credit for it.
It was all good at first, spending money, going shopping, eating at the finest restaurants, and if I'm club hopping, she was right there with me, bottle popping, living that life. She just didn't understand my lifestyle, and that I ain't like that. Every in the world, got your diamonds, got your pearls, but I can't help it if Ching-a-ling be attracting all the girls. Baby, I'm a superstar, and that come with it.
On this song, Shinji, or Chingy, is doing exactly that. Moaning about what a drag his girlfriend is, telling him to stay true to her instead of just shutting up and appreciating his money. Hell, he flat out says that things were better before when he could just shut her up with diamonds and pearls and still flirt with other girls. Just what a great guy.
Walk in the house from hard work, my head hurt. Instead of arguing, can I have dinner with some dessert? She talking about this phone number she found.
Oh, she found a number that a girl gave you and is calling you out on it instead of just making you dinner and dessert and letting you sleep? Oh, poor you! And even with all of that...
And now I'm sitting here looking crazy like damn.
Every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back, telling me I need you in my life.
Yeah, you're never going to leave her, instead just keeping you both in a perpetual state of misery instead of just ending it for both of your sakes. And while he doesn't explicitly say it on the song, the only conclusion that I'm left to come to is that he's just staying with her for the sex. Because these two were not meant to be, no matter what Tyrese may say.
It was meant to be, you were meant for me, so that means we gotta make it work.
Even that line sounds more resigned than romantic, like, oh, we gotta make this work, I guess it's just meant to be. Again, fuck this song. It's a display of the worst of humanity, and yet another example of why nobody ever talks about this guy fondly. Screw you and go die alone, because trust me, nobody is going to be pulling you back into relevance anytime soon.
Say we gotta make it work, baby. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
If the man on the floor, if he ain't, let me know. Let me see if you can run it, girl. Indeed, I can run it.
You know, this song is bad. Really, really bad. Chris Brown's lisp is utterly laughable, and even as a 15-year-old, he's still attempting to steal your girl. But hey, at least the hook is good and the production is catchy. What truly makes it as terrible as it is actually the guest verse.
Make it drop, honey. Make it pop, honey. Whip whop, tick tock to the clock for me. Don't stop doing that. And shorty know I mean what I say, so she won't stop doing that.
This guy became legendary for how bad this verse was. It's kind of amazing. So, sure, why not give him a solo career?
There you go, damn, shorty look good, and I'm thinking about getting Okay, time to whistle at her. Hey, girl, you made my whistle blow. There you go, bring it here, baby. There you go, bring it here, baby.
Ooh, I do not like this guy. The last time I talked about him was on this. So yeah, I'm not exactly eager to give him more exposure. But I'm sorry, I could not overlook this one.
Top down and I'm at it again. It's hot now and I'm at it to win. You heard me. Who wanted with me? Nobody wanted with me. Oh, I'm so fly. Oh, mommy, come and get me. Sit it down, back up, bring it on back up. Move it till you feel something.
Like I said before, there was a trend around back then inspired by a 2006 hit, The Whisper Song by the Yin Yang Twins. Seriously, if these two had the time to sue everybody who ripped them off back then, they would be the richest people in music. Funny, since the original song was fucking terrible, but that's a discussion for another video.
I'm doing my thing. So baby, keep moving your thing. And that'll keep you in the ring. Or maybe not.
Like a lot of the songs on this list, the problems with this song start with the production. Yet another muted beat with not much punch or melody to it, and some really annoying whistling thrown in on top.
So, girl, let me see you get low.
I want to punch whoever is making that noise right in the mouth. Although, on second thought, I think I'll go for Santana first for somehow making an even dumber version of Whistle by Flo Rida.
Damn, shorty look good and I'm thinking about getting at her. Okay, time to whistle at her. Hey, girl, you made my whistle blow. There you go, bring it here, baby.
Yes, he made an anthem to wolf whistling, one of the most fuckboy pathetic things out there, and then made it even more awkward by bringing his dick into it. On top of that, the songwriting is terrible, with tons of words being rhymed with themselves and a lot of repetition for good measure. Not to mention this line.
I don't need to ask, I proceed to grab a chicks love my G'd up swagger. Here you go.
No, you do have to ask. Always. Consent matters, damn it.
Damn, shorty look good and I'm thinking about getting at her. Okay, time to whistle at her. Hey, girl, you made my whistle blow.
This was a pale imitation of a song that was already terrible to begin with. And at least that track's gimmick wasn't quite this obnoxious. I mean, can you really imagine a more annoying gimmick than just filling your song with wolf whistling? Oh, I can think of one.
It's funny how a man only thinks about the. You got a real big heart, but I'm looking at you. You got real big brains, but I'm looking at you. Girl, it ain't no pain in me looking at you.
I don't give a keep looking at my, cause it don't mean a thing if you're looking at my.
Censoring music takes many forms. We used to cut out entire phrases, then moved on to changing the lyrics to make them more family-friendly. But there's also the art of bleeping, covering up a bad word with a loud, obnoxious sound effect. This particular trick is especially popular among YouTubers, and while some of them can still be clever and funny with it, this is will.i.am and the Pussycat Dolls. Somehow, I don't think they're going to stick the landing.
You got real big brains, but I'm looking at you. Girl, it ain't no pain in me looking at you.
I don't give a keep looking at my, cause it don't mean a thing if you're looking at my. I'ma do my thing while you're playing with you.
I cannot fucking stand this hook. It's not clever, it's just basic. I mean, if you were to actually fill in the words that they're bleeping out, this would be the laziest song ever written. The only thing that makes this remotely tolerable, surprisingly, is the production. Specifically, that sample and those strings. It just sounds so elegant, which makes it even more annoying that will.i.am and Nicole are just trading bars about how hot they are and about how amazing that ass is. How can the Pussycat Dolls even count as a group? I mean, there is some harmonizing here and there, but I can't really remember the last time any of the other members got any exposure outside of the chorus. Heck, even Fifth Harmony got that one right.
You got a real big heart, but I'm looking at you. You got real big brains. brains, but I'm looking at you. Girl, it ain't no pain in me looking at you.
This is obnoxious and dumb. It barely qualifies as a song. The only reason it's not higher is that 2006 somehow got even more obnoxious and dumb than anyone could have expected. For starters,
you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours. I could teach you, but I have to charge.
this song is stupid. We all know that by now. Nobody has ever taken it all that seriously, and the phrase has become a staple within pop culture. Yeah, I may not like it, but I do kind of have to respect it to some extent. Heck, just listen to Khalees on her next big hit.
Hey, yo. You don't have to love me. You don't even have to like me.
Exactly, I don't have to like her.
But you will respect me. You know why?
Because it's memorable?
'Cause I'm a boss.
Oh.
I'm bossy. I'm the first girl to scream on the track. I switched up the beat of the drum. That's right. I brought all the boys to the yacht. And that's right. I'm the one that's tattooed on his arm. I'm bossy. I'm the one y'all love to hate. I'm the chick that's raised the stakes.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I can only imagine that some people were mocking Khalees behind closed doors, and she didn't take too kindly to it. Because this song feels oddly defensive.
We gon' keep it poppin' while the 808 is jumpin'.
Diamonds on my neck, diamonds on my grill. Diamonds on my neck, diamonds on my grill.
I'm bossy.
I think I lost respect for this song the instant that she started grunting like that. Plus, that plinking beat is just so ugly and creepy, even for this year.
That's right. I brought all the boys to the yacht. And that's right. I'm the one that's tattooed on his arm. I'm bossy.
You know the phrase, like a boss? Of course you do. The Lonely Island have made it iconic.
Dr. Corporate, approve memos, lead a workshop, remember birthdays.
Yeah, awesome, but here's the thing. Being bossy and being a boss are two very different things. One is admirable, the other is really annoying, unlikable, and often gets very ugly. So in other words, this song in a nutshell.
Ooh, from the 6'4" hoppers up in Crenshaw to the money making players up in Harlem. Don't want no problems. We gon' keep it poppin' while the 808 is jumpin'.
Diamonds on my neck, diamonds on my grill.
Just a supremely ugly song. I'm almost impressed. Everything from the production to the lyrics to the ugly attitude makes me grind my teeth in frustration. The way you do when you're being given out to when you haven't done anything wrong.
I'm bossy. I'm the first girl to scream on the track. I switched up the beat of the drum. That's right. I brought all the boys to the yacht. And that's right. I'm the one that's tattooed on his arm. I'm bossy.
You know what, Khalees? Milkshake did suck, and with this song you killed any goodwill that I had towards you. You can make as much bad music as you want, but don't you ever presume to be the boss of me.
Watch the bingo.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
Still, give her some credit, at least Khalees had some goodwill to begin with. Because there are some artists who don't deserve the benefit of the doubt and instead deserve to be thoroughly thrashed through and through right out the gate.
It's really good to hear your voice saying my name. It sounds so sweet, coming from the lips of an angel. Hearing those words, it makes me weak. Never want to say goodbye.
Yep, you should have all seen this coming. Ever since that video where I talked about Hinder's second big hit, I made it clear that I had no patience for this song. It is rare for a band to make such a terrible first impression, but Hinder did it, and now I am going to thoroughly enjoy tearing it to shreds.
But girl, you make it hard to be faithful with the lips of an angel.
This song isn't exactly subtle about why it's so terrible. First, you have the utterly garbage vocal performance by frontman Austin Winkler, supported by pathetic post-grunge instrumentation that displays the very blandest, most bog-standard aspects of the genre. Yeah, there's a reason that this band is remembered with such contempt. They're basically doing a sound that hundreds of others were doing, and yet somehow doing it a fair bit worse. But of course, the real reason this is on this list comes down to the lyrics.
I gotta whisper 'cause I can't be too loud. Oh well, my girl's in the next room. Sometimes I wish she was you.
With a title like Lips of an Angel, it would be very easy to just make this a generic love song directed at a woman. But no, Hinder has to add the extra layer that this song is specifically about cheating on your significant other. And the entire song is framed as romantic, as if we're meant to sympathize with this guy.
Does he know you're talking to me? Will it start a fight? No, I don't think she has a clue.
The writing isn't even clever, it's painfully dull and plain spoken, to the point where there's no way you could mistake it for anything other than what it is. Austin Winkler says that this girl makes it hard to be faithful, and how he wishes he could be with this angel instead of his current girlfriend. But what is so angelic about a girl who intentionally breaks up couples?
It's really good to hear your voice saying my name. It sounds so sweet, coming from the lips of an angel. Hearing those words, it makes me weak.
This song is just an ugly sentiment manifested and glorified in musical form. It's the type of song that was just destined to top music critics' worst lists. However, in 2006, as many of you know, we got worse. A lot worse.
Honey, why you calling me so late?
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
So at this point, many of you are probably looking at the Hot 100 for 2006 and wondering what my number 2 could possibly be. I mean, my number 1 is obvious, but what possibly came close to that level of awfulness? Well, I'm here to tell you that not only did it match that song's badness, it actually managed to top it. In other words, that song that all of you thought was going to be my number 1, yeah, it's only number 2.
'Cause you know I don't give a fuck, so here we go. How come every time you come around my London Bridge wanna go down like London, wanna go down like London, be going down like. How come every time you come around my London Bridge wanna go down like London.
This is going to be hard to justify. I mean, how the fuck is this not the worst hit song of this year, if not the decade? With its cacophonous production that's grating and obnoxious from start to finish.
Oh shit!
To Fergie sounding worse than she ever has before and possibly since, especially with that sneering accent.
When I come to the club, step aside. Pop the seats, don't be heavy in the line.
To the absolutely ridiculous lyrics that would be hilarious if the aesthetic weren't so ugly. The production here is just a disaster, with the main vocals being at their most piercing and the background shouts of "oh shit" being obnoxious rather than hype. Although to be fair, it would take an awful lot to get me hyped for something like this. And it gets especially bad on that hook.
How come every time you come around my London Bridge wanna go down like London.
What does that mean? Are you implying that you want to open your legs for this guy just like the London Bridge lowers so that cars can pass over it? If so, that is a flimsy, loose metaphor at best. There's even this weird section on the second verse where she takes pot shots at the paparazzi for no reason.
Paparazzi put my business in the news, and I'ma get up on my face. Boy, I turn around and spray your ass with mace. My lips make you wanna have a taste.
enough of that, I guess. And then you have the bridge, which is simultaneously the best part of the track, and yet also has Fergie sounding at her most grating. I just don't understand this. It's like Birthday Cake remix for how ugly and misguided it is, and is only better than that song for the added context that makes that so horrendous. And yeah, if I'm comparing it to that song, you should all know how bad this is. It is horrendous and borderline unlistenable. So, what could I possibly hate more?
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
Funny that I should mention Birthday Cake remix. Now look, I know that many of you probably don't remember this song. Sure, it was decently big when it first came out, but much like Take a Bow, it's not really one of those Rihanna songs that has really stuck around. This was pre-Umbrella Rihanna, a fresh-faced 18-year-old who had only just broken through and would basically sing anything that was handed to her. And barring the atrocity that I mentioned before, this might just be the worst song of her entire career.
Story in my life, searching for the right, but it keeps avoiding me. Sorrow in my soul, cause it seems that wrong really loves my company.
Now again, that may sound a little bit odd to some of you. After all, this is just a simple, mournful piano ballad. Heck, it even received some praise from critics when it first came out for handling some tricky subject matter. But, just like my number 3 pick, the ugliness of this track is plain to see right from the start, starting with that title.
And I know that he knows I'm unfaithful, and it kills him inside to know that I am happy with some other guy. I can see him dying.
See, just like a number of songs that have appeared on this list, this is a song about cheating on your significant other, with Rihanna lamenting that she's been unfaithful and how she and her boyfriend both know it. And what makes this so utterly loathsome to me, worse than Lips of an Angel ever was, comes down to the presentation.
I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna be the reason why. Every time I walk out the door, I see him die a little more inside.
See, with those elegant pianos and Rihanna's own performance, the entire song is framed as a tragedy. Specifically one where Rihanna, the one cheating, is framed as the victim, the one we're meant to sympathize with. After all, she doesn't want to do this anymore. She sees how much she's hurting this guy, and she doesn't want him to suffer because of her. Again, it's trying to make you side with her, but her reason for doing it is incredibly skewed.
I don't wanna hurt him anymore. I don't wanna take away his life. I don't wanna be a murderer.
See, that incredibly sloppy line indicates that she doesn't want to break up because she's sorry for cheating on this guy, but simply because she doesn't want to bear the blame or the responsibility for her partner's pain. And unlike other songs where the artist in question will at least try to demonize the boyfriend, here he's framed as the perfect partner, someone that she's cheating on for no reason whatsoever.
He's more than a man, and this is more than love. The reason that the sky is blue.
You open up this song talking about this guy like he's the best one you've ever met. Your connection goes deeper than love. And yet...
The clouds are rolling in because I'm gone again, and to him I just can't be true.
Why? I'm sorry, I get that I'm trying to understand the mindset of someone who would stoop to cheating, but considering the song clearly wants me to sympathize with her, I have to try, but I can't because no reason is given. She just says that she can't be true. What the fuck kind of bullshit is that?
I say I won't be long, just hanging with the girls. A lie I didn't have.
I'm sorry, this song pisses me off to an unbelievable degree. It's up there with Want You Back by Cher Lloyd. But at least that song was meant to be a joke, showing a bratty bitch being a bratty bitch. This song isn't that brave, instead manipulating its audience into thinking the woman in this song is worth a damn. And look, despite sounding incredibly nasal and awful across all of it, believe it or not, I don't blame Rihanna for this. Again, she was just starting out. She would have taken any song that came her way. Heck, apparently she only agreed to sing this because she was a really big fan of the songwriter. And I swear, you will never guess who that is.
I don't know why it's like that, but you're just so damn sexy.
Damn, 2006 was not a good year for Neo.
I can see him dying. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna be the reason why.
This song is just rancid, the type of track that is so pathetic and woefully misguided that I can barely find the words to express how much I hate it. And those metaphors about murdering your partner emotionally get even more ridiculous and overblown on the bridge.
I might as well take a gun and put it to his head. Get it over with. I don't wanna do this anymore.
And it's at that point that I realized that this song wasn't worth taking seriously. It's a song so bad and pathetic that it can't even own how awful it is. Instead, pussyfooting around every element of the cheating and deflecting blame everywhere. And I know that I've been ranting for a while now and my voice is completely wrecked, but if I can expose just what a hateful, disgusting train wreck this is, then it'll be worth it. Unfaithful by Rihanna, easily the worst hit song of 2006. And now I'm off to collapse somewhere. Boy, did I miss these worst lists. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you want more content like this in the future, then please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. After that, go down to the comments and let me know what you thought of this list, as well as your thoughts on 2006 as a whole. And if you have the time, then definitely leave your own top 10 down there as well. And hey, until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tune, signing off.
A murderer.